24th, 2022.
Cover them, watch. Go, run over there.
77 minutes changed the lives of everyone in the small town of Uvalde.
Please hurry, there's a lot of dead bodies.
19 students and 2 teachers murdered at Robb Elementary.
All those babies were scared for their lives.
The images inside rooms 111 and 112 will forever haunt those who experienced it firsthand.
He shot my friend that was next to me, and I thought he was going to come back to the room, so I grabbed the blood and I put it all over me.
The pain felt across the country.
It's something that just didn't hit in Uvalde. Everybody felt the wrath of this.
Refusing to be ignored, families continue fighting for change.
I will always honor her, but I will always fight for her till my last breath. I will always do whatever I can to protect other kids because I don't want parents to go through what we're going through.
Demanding answers and holding lawmakers accountable.
I'm a gun owner myself, but there has to be sensible laws.
1 year later, we are digging deeper into the Robb Elementary shooting, where things stand now, what the community is doing to make their voices heard, and how they are attempting to move forward.
Good evening, and thank you for tuning into Uvalde Moving Forward, our in-depth look into where things stand a year after the Uvalde massacre. I'm Simone D'Alba.
And I'm Walt Makaborski. We're live in Uvalde in front of Robb Elementary School, the site of the shooting 1 year ago today that took 21 lives, 19 children, 2 teachers. Of course, the campus is closed now. A memorial for the victims now stands at the school, which is set to be demolished.
As you can imagine, so much has happened since that horrific day. So many of us wondering how the families in this small community can possibly begin to move forward.
You were here on day one through the chaos. We've been covering this story since day one, trying to tell the stories of the victims with dignity and trying to make sure city, county, and state leaders are held accountable. There are so many questions that need to be answered here. Tonight we have live team coverage for you throughout the city of Uvalde on how this city is getting through so much heartbreak.
Jordan Elder is kicking off our team coverage with how the city of Uvalde is honoring the 19 children and 2 teachers who died a year ago today.
We've met people who have come from all over the nation today to honor the lives lost in Uvalde a year ago. Throughout all the celebrations, some of the locals tell us that the grief is still heavy and they're still trying to process what happened.
Butterfly releases symbolize new beginnings, but the pain in Uvalde is still prominent a year after 19 children and 2 teachers were killed inside Robb Elementary, especially for those with personal ties.
I knew 2 of them. One of them was very close to us. She'll never experience a quinceañera. She'll never experience graduating from high school.
Ronald Garza grew up in Uvalde. He says it was difficult hearing bell after bell after bell honoring the 21 victims.
Lives were shattered.
Monica Hamer and her team of therapists and counselors have been working with community members here for the last year.
They still need help, and they need all kinds of help.
The lives of the 21 victims were honored across Texas today. Governor Greg Abbott ordering all Texas flags at half-staff. And though Hamer says today's memorials were a step toward healing, she says there's still a long way to go.
Just because this is the 1-year mark doesn't mean that the grieving process is over. And there's so much that needs to be healed and repaired.
There will be church services held across the city tonight in honor of the lives lost, as well as a candlelight vigil later on. Reporting in Uvalde, I'm Jordan Elder.
Beginning and the end.
Right now, a prayer vigil is wrapping up at the Uvalde County Fairplex, the vigil for Uvalde residents only, so they can be here and remember this day in peace. The Uvalde Ministerial Alliance organized it as an opportunity for the community to comfort and strengthen each other.
Today is a day many of the families, as you can imagine, have been dreading deeply.
Some of the survivors decided to leave, especially the survivors of room 112, but the rest of the families of the 21 victims, decided to stay here and band together.
Amanda Henderson is joining us live with how they're leaning into one another to get past this painful anniversary.
Simone, they're really just coming together as an extended family, as we heard them say so many times tonight. we had the incredible honor of being invited to a private dinner. They wanted some of us to be there who have been there with them from day one, and they actually gave us wristbands with their children's names on it, some even of the survivors from classroom 112. And this has just been such an extended family for them. They have really been leaning on each other in this emotional, tragic, difficult day, but it was good to see some smiles from some of the families inside when they saw some of their family walk in and be there to support them. And you know, we have been so honored to get to tell these stories, and to know them is to love them, and to love them is to learn about their loved ones. And the 21+1 Angels were honored tonight inside of the Civic Center. In that dinner, they actually had a beautiful picture with all of the 21 victims who were dressed in robes. They looked like angels, because that's what they are to this community and to their families. They are the angels that watch over them every single day. And we're going to have much more here in a half hour from those families. Reporting in Uvalde, I'm Amanda Henderson.
Since this tragedy happened, we've been committed to holding leaders accountable at every level. Still, there are some few loose ends remaining on this investigation and how law enforcement responded that day.
From the Texas Department of Public Safety to the school police department, all the way to the city of Uvalde police, most judgments have been rendered, punishments handed out.
As Robert Price explained, some people are still pushing back, still fighting those decisions.
77 minutes. That's how long more than 300 law enforcement officers waited before breaching the classroom door at Robb Elementary to confront the gunman. Soon after, Uvalde's mayor made one thing clear.
Everybody that day has to be accountable for their actions.
In August, the school district fired its police chief, Pete Arredondo.
I'm just glad that everything's starting to come to light.
In October, it suspended its entire police force.
There's compelling evidence that the law enforcement response to the attack at Robb Elementary was an abject failure.
The Texas Department of Public Safety investigated the actions of 7 of its officers. The agency fired 1 sergeant and is attempting to fire a ranger. 1 trooper resigned before getting fired, and 4 others were cleared. In February, DPS announced its internal investigation was complete, and no other officers would face additional discipline.
There's no way you can justify what that system looks like today and make it make sense to me.
Also in February, we learned the independent review into the school district police department is no longer happening. The district saying the review is no longer needed since 4 other investigations were complete. Reports from the Department of Justice, the Texas School Police Chiefs Association, and a Texas House Committee, which found the department failed in using its active shooter plan.
As of now, we're still working on this active investigation.
Meantime, the school district is fighting former Chief Arredondo after he successfully appealed his less than honorable discharge designation. A similar battle still ongoing between the city of Uvalde and former Lieutenant Mariano Pargas. Pargas served as acting chief for Uvalde police on the day of the shooting and chose to retire back in December, the same week the city planned to fire him. He too appealed his less than honorable discharge status. The city says a hearing is set for this July. Robert Price reporting.
Since the shooting happened at Robb Elementary School, Uvalde city leaders have made one thing very clear.
I hope we can learn from this, and we hope it never happens anywhere ever again.
But 1 year later, communication between government agencies is still strained. The Texas Department of Public Safety's initial report on the shooting has been sent to the Uvalde County District Attorney, Christina Mitchell.
Now, Mitchell has largely kept quiet on this investigation.
There's no response. No response. I will not respond. There is no response.
And so has Uvalde County Sheriff Ruben Nolasco.
Because there's an investigation that's going on.
The city of Uvalde is currently in a legal battle with Busby's office. They want to see documents from the investigation to make decisions about their own police department. The DA asked a court to dismiss the lawsuit. Uvalde Mayor Don McLaughlin says he knows Busby has a job to do.
But at the same token, she represents this community and these citizens, and they deserve the right to know what's going on. We all do.
Now, on this 1 year anniversary of what happened at Robb Elementary, Uvalde Mayor Don McLaughlin joined us for an exclusive interview. Here's what he had to say about what happened that day and how the community can finally begin to heal. And when you look back at part of your journey, part of your path as a leader in this city, when you think of what happened at Uvalde, I mean, is there something that keeps you up at night, or something that you would share with our
Well, I mean,
audience?
we missed something somewhere. As a city, as a school district, as a community, that this young man fell through the cracks. And, you know, he turned into an animal. I'm sorry, but I can't visualize him any way other than that. But to do what he did to these young kids over there, he had problems, and we missed it, whether in the school district coming up or through the city or anything. But we're only as good as the information we get. And we come to find out afterwards that we hear that this guy was on chat rooms and on social media talking about things like this, but we never knew. We didn't know. So we made a mistake, and that's one of the things that I would like to see, that we start looking for these kids that are pushed out or bullied or whatever, and reach out to them, let them know that people do care about them.
Do you think in terms of getting to healing, do you think forgiveness can only come through accountability?
Most definitely. Until we get that, I mean, these families, they're not going to be able to turn the page in their life until they have some answers of what transpired that day. And they don't have that, and we don't have that. I don't have anything to hide. I've said from day one, we're all big boys here. The mistakes were made that day, and we're going to have to take our lumps. I don't care who you are, whether it's the city, the county, the Border Patrol, the DPS, the Rangers. You had Homeland Security there, you had U.S. Marshals there, you had FBI agents there. We're all going to have to be accountable for our actions that day. And I don't know why we don't lay the cards on the table and just, you know, it's a tragedy that happened that day, and all this secrecy is not going to make it go away.
You can really get a feel for when we spoke with the mayor. He was very open about his frustrations with the state of the investigations and such, but he was candid. He said he didn't believe criminal charges should come down because he didn't think there was criminal intent with the officers. So that was a major piece of this.
This is his community, and his heart goes out to everyone here. But the problem so many people are frustrated with, he said it, secrecy. Right. He still doesn't get the answers that he deserves and needs, and this community still deserves and needs. So that's the key thing, getting the answers.
Absolutely.
Our live coverage continues now. This is a live look from our chopper of the Uvalde Park Amphitheater, where the families of the victims have identified this is the place they want to grieve together with their community, with visitors from around the world to gather and pray and light candles in the memory of their loved ones tonight. Welcome back. We are live from Uvalde tonight, right in front of Robb Elementary School, the site of the shooting that happened 1 year ago that took 21 lives. I'm Walt Macaborski. I am an anchor reporter from Austin, Texas, covering this story hand in hand with this station here and Simone from San Antonio. We are teaming together on this story to bring such an important element of what this community is going through and trying to get answers for you.
It's been every step of the way, and I'm Simone D'Alba. I'm joining you with News 4 San Antonio. Walt and I are part of sister stations. So essentially what this has looked like from a legislative standpoint, so much of our coverage has gone through Austin. And also for us here in San Antonio, Uvalde is part of our hearts, part of both of our hearts. And this is why we've been teaming up today to bring you this coverage right from Robb Elementary, where everything happened 365 days ago. Now, while the community continues to try to heal from the tragedy, attempts to make change at the state and the federal level are falling flat.
Roland Gutierrez, Senator Gutierrez, Representative Gutierrez, trying to get answers for everyone. Families of the victims have traveled to both Austin and Washington, D.C. In D.C., they asked for a ban on assault rifles. In Austin, they asked lawmakers to raise the age to purchase assault-style weapons from 18 to 21. A Texas House committee passed that bill by a vote of 8-5. But in a gut punch, the measure never got a vote on the House floor.
I want a complete ban on assault weapons. I want this weapon off the streets. I don't want anybody to have access to it, and I don't want anybody to have their child taken away.
We owe it to the 21 lives that were lost at Robb and to every soul that was lost prior to what happened in Uvalde to keep fighting for change. Because what's happening right now, it's not working. Something needs to change.
Raise the age, and like I said, those are military, law enforcement guns. I mean, our kids went through that force of a gun Can you imagine how frightened they were? I could just imagine how frightened they were.
It's agonizing to hear some of that sound, and the lone survivor from classroom 111 at Robb Elementary shares their frustration. Listen.
I don't know the answer, but I'm hoping that they find a solution for this.
Arnulfo Reyes lost 11 of his students in the massacre. He was shot twice, and he almost died.
I feel like it just happened yesterday, and I feel like, nothing's been done. There's no time to wait, do what's right. Do what's right.
As Reyes continues to recover, he too is fighting for change at our state capitol.
And Reyes says the legislature will need to fix the biggest bungle that day, the 77-minute response to stop the gunman.
It shouldn't be a Republican thing or a Democrat thing. It should be, they need to come together for the sake of the children.
State Senator Roland Gutierrez, who represents Uvalde, has been advocating for gun reform. On Thursday, he made one final effort to raise the age to purchase assault rifles from 18 to 21. Once again, he got nowhere with time running out. Listen to part of his impassioned speech following this denial.
I urge you to look at all the videos. I urge you to hear the officers throwing up as they take down that gunman and see the scene a few minutes later. You've never seen so much blood in your life.
None of his bills have been taken up by the Senate, which adjourns for the session on Monday. Senator Gutierrez and the family say despite the setbacks, they will not stop fighting for change. You are watching our live special, Uvalde Moving Forward.
Welcome back to our live special coverage of Uvalde Moving Forward. I'm Walt Macaborski from CBS Austin.
And I'm Simone D'Alba, joining you with News 4 San Antonio.
When a shooting like this happens, a tragedy like this, you look at the carnage and the chaos and you wonder, how do these families move forward?
Hard to wrap your mind around. And tonight we are sharing what some of the Uvalde families have shared with us.
I know that she wouldn't want me to stay home. Like she wouldn't want me to not do anything.
Veronica Mata is a teacher in Uvalde who lost her 10-year-old daughter Tess in the shooting. Heading into her 12th year of teaching, Veronica had a decision to make.
At the beginning, I had no intentions of going back. I didn't want to step foot in the school. I think I'm doing the right thing for her, in honor of her, but it's not easy at all.
She decided to return to encourage her daughter, Faith, to continue her studies at Texas State University.
Now, San Antonio teacher Velma Lisa Duran shares Veronica's sentiment. She lost her sister, Irma Garcia, in the mass shooting, and you may remember, Irma was a teacher, died trying to protect her students.
This is the American nightmare we're living, and we're allowing it to happen. When it comes to gun violence, it's not red or blue, it's lives.
Both women have traveled to Austin and Washington, D.C. to push for gun reform. Eva Morales was the other teacher killed in the shooting, along with Irma Garcia.
As Matt Roy reports, Ava died doing what she loved while trying to protect those she loved. This is how her family is keeping her memory alive.
I come out here pretty often. I have my mom as a guardian angel. Anything that has changed in my life or anything that I want to tell my mom about, I'll just come and I'll write in my journal and tell her.
It's been 1 year since Adeline Ruiz lost her mother, Eva Morales. 1 year since they fought over which way the faucet turned to get to the hot water. 1 year since they FaceTimed after a long day. 1 year since they said, I love you. How has the past year been for you?
It's been pretty quiet. It's been different.
Now confirmed through the AP.
Lot changing
Just
moment by
18
moment,
families.
right over my shoulder.
Tuesday, May 24th, 2022 was anything but quiet.
Social media is saying
Ruiz was at work in Del Rio when she started hearing about the shooting in her hometown of Uvalde. She called her mom and dad, who was a Uvalde school district police officer at the time, to try and check on them. Then she got a call from her aunt, Ava's sister.
I said hello, and all I heard was her screaming, Eva, Eva, my sister got shot, my sister, like screaming. But she didn't mean to call me. I remember
A pocket dial
sitting
is
there
how
in
she
the
found
car.
out her mother had been shot.
And she was kind of like,
Too distraught to drive, her coworker took her to Uvalde.
but I remember sitting there and I was thinking, I just closed my eyes and I was thinking, this is the last moment that I'm gonna know my mom is alive, because I'm gonna walk in there and they're gonna tell me that she didn't make it.
Ava had always been Adeline's hero, but on that day, she became a hero for everyone else, too.
My best friend's dad is a trooper, because he responded that day. And he said, your mom died protecting her students. I was so heartbroken, but just listening to that made me feel so proud to know she went out as a legend. Like, she did this and she saved these kids.
Since that day, Adeline has focused on making sure people remember her karaoke and CrossFit-loving mom. There have been 5Ks, scholarship funds, and even celebrities taking notice.
This is Maggie Morales, and her sister Eva Morales was a teacher and a hero who lost her life protecting her students during the school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. Maggie is continuing her fight.
People know who Eva Morales is now. We remember her name, just like Adeline always wanted her. I'm Matt Roy reporting.
You're watching our Uvalde Moving Forward special. Right now, you're looking live at Uvalde's town square. As you can imagine, it has been a deeply emotional day. Visitors have been stopping by throughout the day. They've been paying their respects at a memorial for the victims of the Robb Elementary mass shooting.
We've also learned that several of the families of the victims have been allowed to tour Robb Elementary School before it's razed. There's still no word on exactly when that will happen.
A year after the massacre, Classroom 112 survivors say they are struggling to move forward. 11-year-old Noah Arona was shot in Classroom 112 at Robb Elementary. He now has a scar that's almost a foot long on his back. Noah has finished his physical therapy and he's played in a youth basketball league this spring. What his parents say you don't see is how they struggle in private.
This is not over by any stretch of the imagination. Sometimes I guess we feel like, we feel guilty.
Without our faith in God in our lives, I don't know what we would have done.
Oscar and Jessica Arona say they spend their time trying to get Noah healthier and constantly worry as Noah's realization of what happened to him that day continues to sink in.
There's another survivor of that deadly day that no one really talks about, and she wants it that way. The gunman's grandmother, Cecilia Gonzalez, who goes by Sally. He shot her in the face before stealing her truck and driving to the school. Gonzalez suffered injuries so severe, doctors said they didn't know how she survived them. She had multiple surgeries and continues to recover at home. Welcome back to our special, Uvalde Moving Forward. I'm Walt Macaborski from CBS Austin.
And I'm Simone D'Alba with News 4 San Antonio. In 1 hour, the third and final vigil for the victims of the Robb Elementary School tragedy will begin. This will be at the Uvalde Memorial Park Amphitheater, and this will cap off the day. The community has been remembering the 19 children and the 2 teachers lost.
So much emotion here today. At 11:32 this morning, butterflies were released at St. Philip's Episcopal Church. 11:32, when state police say the gunman fired multiple shots outside Robb Elementary School.
At 12:49 this afternoon, church bells tolled, marking the time when officers finally breached the classroom, ending the rampage.
Many in the community spending the day visiting murals of the 21 victims in the city's downtown. Mourners leaving flowers and prayer notes for the innocent lives lost.
Our chopper is live over Uvalde, where city and county leaders today asked for privacy for the community to remember the victims. While they say they appreciate all the support, all the prayers they've received, they ask that potential visitors please stay away from Uvalde on this anniversary and that people instead host something in their own hometowns in their honor. A majority of the businesses in Uvalde today opted to close.
And as we said earlier, tonight's memorial events will culminate at the Uvalde Memorial Park Amphitheater with a prayer vigil. Amanda Henderson is there live for us now. She joins us with a message from the victims' families.
Yeah, well, their message is they want anyone who would like to join them tonight to come tonight at 7:30. So that'll be in about an hour. They've invited people through Lives Robbed, a group they form from all over the world, to join them tonight. And if they can't, to light a candle in their own hometown. I've had the honor and privilege of getting to speak with and know these families personally over the past year. And we talked with some of them ahead of today about what this 1 year mark means to them.
They were athletes, honor roll students, and artists. They had dreams to be lawyers, veterinarian, and marine biologists.
We're so sorry that she's not here.
They were also beloved children, mothers, and a father.
They were the glue that held this family together.
Most of all, they're loved by those who miss them the most.
And every morning he made sure to tell me he loved me. She gave me enough love for a lifetime.
These are the faces of the 21+1 Uvalde Angels. A year ago, a gunman killed 21 of them at Robb Elementary. 2 days later, Joe Garcia, husband of teacher Irma Garcia, died from cardiac arrest. His family believes from a broken heart.
I know we'll learn to live with this grief.
We spoke with some of the families of the victims about the 1 year mark.
To me, it doesn't feel like it's been a year. These wounds are nowhere near closed.
And that's a sentiment we have heard from the families time and time again. No matter where we see them or what we're doing, that's what we hear. The wounds have not healed. And in about an hour, they're going to reflect on the 21+1 Angels right here behind the Uvalde Civic Center at an amphitheater where that candlelight vigil will take place. They did invite some of us, myself included, to join them at a dinner as well as a mural walk. And I'm going to head there as soon as we are done here. The mood has been somber, but it has been good to see some of them smiling. As you can imagine, this is an emotional day. Reporting in Uvalde, I'm Amanda Henderson.
The 1 year mark of the Uvalde school shooting is undoubtedly a difficult day.
Not only for the families immediately affected, but for the entire community.
Brett Cross's son, Uzziah Garcia, was among the 19 students and the 2 teachers killed. Cross has been among the most vocal at the state capitol, pushing for gun reform. He says the ongoing fight helps to mask all of his obvious pain.
Once I quit fighting is when I will break down completely, and I'm not ready for that yet.
During the past year, we've heard from many in Uvalde affected by the tragedy who say they've had a hard time getting the professional help they need to cope with their loss. Some traveling as far away as San Antonio just to meet with a therapist. Thank you for joining us. You've been watching our Uvalde Moving Forward special. I'm Simone D'Alba with News 4 San Antonio.
And I'm Walt Macaborski from CBS Austin.
The state legislature has discussed a number of bills, many of them regarding school safety.
Very contentious at times. Here are some of the topics we tackled on our Uvalde Moving Forward town hall.
Well, since the deadly shooting at Robb Elementary, Texans have wanted to know what is being done to keep intruders out of schools and to prevent dangerous situations.
So what's been done this legislative session to address those concerns? That is our first question of the night. Representative, we'll send it over to you.
Well, House Bill 3 was on the House floor. It was our big school safety bill, although I'm hearing that now it's going to be Senate Bill 11. And so there are some good things in the bills. There are some things that I don't agree with, one of which is having an armed person or armed employee on every school campus. And I think that taking a statewide view of something that is school districts across the state are very different one to the next, that I think local school boards should have the ability to make decisions on who is in the school for safety, like a school resource officer, or in some districts they may approve armed teachers.
Same question, I guess, Brendan, what do you feel is being done so far this session?
Yeah, I think there's a lot being discussed currently. I think the one big theme I see from Republicans is we need to harden these soft targets, because what we're seeing is that criminals are targeting schools, churches, temples, places where they're so-called gun-free zones, but unfortunately we know that criminals take their intent and take their intent to kill to places that are seen as soft targets. So I think what Republicans in the legislature are trying to do with these bills is to harden those targets and to say, yes, we want to encourage well-trained people who are competent in the use of handguns or other defensive weapons to use them in case they have to in a horrible, tragic situation that we have seen time and time again.
And, you know, there has been discussion about, you mentioned arming people in schools. I mean, from your perspective, is that something that you want to see? Have you heard from educators, teachers, do they want this?
No, absolutely not. At least in my area, in my district, the teachers do not want to be armed. In fact, we see that so many teachers are leaving the profession, and one of the reasons, not the main reason, but one of the reasons is now they are in charge of protecting their children, their students, and I don't think teachers, for the most part, want to be armed and want that role. That's for law enforcement.
Now, HB 3, part of it, I believe it did address having panic buttons in schools and items like that. Do you think that that goes far enough? Do you need the armed person in the school?
I think you do. I think police response times, as quick as they can be, are often too long to stop these shootings from happening. Often these killers can commit their crimes in a very short amount of time. So I think the only way to mitigate that is to have people who are trained, who are confident in the use of arms in the classroom, principals, superintendents, volunteers. Like we have this Guardian program in the state of Texas that is a locally run initiative. If the school district chooses to have, you know, retired law enforcement in or veterans who are there to provide that safety and security, they're able to. So I think we should be encouraging that as a last line of defense with all these other security measures that also have to be considered.
And Michael, Representative Goodwin did mention some possible changes to HB 3 that the Senate is taking up. What do you know about that?
Yes, we do know that the House Bill 3 has been significantly stripped down from the form that was passed out of the House. The House version had a fiscal note of about $1.25 billion, and we know that the version that's just come out of the Senate Education Committee is clocking it at about $328 million. So nearly 3/4 of the spending has been stripped away. It does still do some things like create, through the Texas Education Agency, the Office of School Safety, and it does do some of the minor things like requiring safety plans for people to safely leave out of buildings, know what they're going to do in the event of a school shooting should that happen. But some of the noted things that it doesn't include is that it strips away funding per student. That's going to be, when it was in the House, the version that the House passed, it was $100 in spending per student at every school to go towards school safety. That's been lowered down now to just $10 a student. It does still include $15,000 for every school campus to go towards school security funding. We also do know that it has been stripped down of the requirement that armed security officers are going to be in every campus. That was something that the House had voted on and approved, saying that they wanted to have at least one armed security officer of some kind in every campus and every school. That's no longer a requirement under the version of House Bill 3 that was just passed out of a Senate committee. It's a recommendation, and it does give the authority to do so, but it's no longer a requirement within that bill. And as I mentioned, that is something like 3/4 of the bill has been stripped away. Though, to be fair, the House committee, when it was essentially at the same level, the House committee version that was passed out had a fiscal note of just $292 million, and much of it was added on later on, but that is what we've seen so far.
Yeah, and quick follow-up question, Michael. You're covering politics day in, day out, from the start of the session to the middle of it now to the end. Is everybody staying down party lines? Is anyone deviating, or is it as is?
You have seen a few Republicans, particularly the couple that were on a committee with Representative Goodwin here, who voted to see the significant bill that would raise the age to purchase certain semi-automatic weapons. A couple of Republicans did vote with mostly Democrats in saying that they did want to support that bill. But what's been really interesting, I've noticed, is that the Republicans who have shall I say, broken with party lines, have been very quiet about it. We've reached out to them to see if they want to speak with us and offer any comments, and we really haven't heard a whole lot from them. We did see one of the representatives, I'm not remembering who it was, it may have been Representative Holland, who posted online essentially saying, you know, I still do believe in the Second Amendment, and I don't think that this bill inhibits that, but they have been noticeably quiet on their legislation in that effort.
And we also did want to open up the questions that we got from our viewers as well. One of the questions that we got, and this is a common thing that people talk about, they say it's not guns that kill people, it's people who kill people. So why are lawmakers coming for our guns? That is a rhetoric that we hear a lot of times. People kill people, not guns. So what do you say to address that question? Brendan, I want to start with you. I mean, that is something that does have more of a conservative lean to it. People don't want their guns taken away. They're very afraid of that. So how do you address that?
Yeah, they are, and I think that it's also speaking to this mental health issue that we face in this country, and this is a huge societal moral problem that we face when we have people who are willing and able to go and commit these horrible, heinous acts. And so I think, in almost every case you look at, these people fit a paradigm, they fit a pattern of behavior. They're often warning signs, they post hateful comments on social media, they tell friends or family that they're going to do something, they make threats. And so there is certainly a mental health thing that I think Republicans have been, shouting from the rooftop, saying this is a big part of this debate. Yes, we need to talk about everything else, but we cannot ignore the fact that this is a human problem, and we have to get to the core of that as well.
Representative, same question to you for folks who say we feel lawmakers are coming after our guns. Others who say, look, that this is the guns in the end that carry it out.
Yeah, I mean, a gun is a tool. When someone has an intent to do harm, that gun makes it much easier to do much more harm much more quickly. And so I think that we do have to have regulations around guns. I'm certainly not in favor of taking away someone's Second Amendment right, but I am in favor of having regulations for that right. There are many things that we could do that would not infringe on someone's ability to own a gun. Someone with a criminal background, for example, who buys a gun through our loophole, going to a gun show and a personal sale, we need to close that loophole.
And what have been the conversations so far this session about mental health and resources for that aspect of this?
I mean, we talk about mental health quite a bit in the legislature, but we still don't fund it adequately. And I hear stories regularly of people going to see a mental health therapist who are paying for it out of pocket.
If you'd like to continue watching this Uvalde Moving Forward special report and town hall, you can do so in its entirety online. And we want to thank you for joining us tonight for this somber first anniversary of the Robb Elementary shooting here in Uvalde.
We are committed to holding our leaders accountable and to following every new angle of this story for you in real time as it develops. We will never forget. We leave you with a reminder of the innocent lives lost that have left a huge void in all of our hearts.
Neve Bravo. Jacqueline Jackie Cazares. McKenna Elrod. Jose Flores Jr. Eliana Eli Garcia. Irma Garcia. Uzziah Garcia. Amory Jo Garza. Xavier Lopez. Jace Luevanos. Tess Mata. Miranda Mathis. Ava Morales. Alithia Ramirez. Annabelle Rodriguez. Maite Rodriguez. Alexandria Lexi Rubio. Layla Salazar. Jalia Silguero. Eliana Cruz Torres. Rogelio Torres.